So in this video, we are going to get ready for homework 10.1. We're going to first start off with question 1. So the directions are to evaluate the following radicals, and radicals is just another word for root. So this symbol right here, there's secretly a little number 2 right there for square root. It's asking me what positive number squared times itself is 36. And since 6 times 6 is 36, the square root of 36 is 6. In fact, we could even write the square root of 36 as the square root of 6 squared. Squaring and square rooting do and undo each other. Our answer is 6. Now this one looks almost the same, but there is a minus sign out in front. That minus is really just a minus 1 times the square root of 36. So this is minus 1 times the square root of 36, which is 6. A minus 1 times 6 is minus 6. So here is one answer. Here is another answer. Now, here we're being asked the same question. What positive number times itself is minus 36? Okay. What positive number squared, i.e. times itself, is negative 36? And there is no number, positive or negative, actually, that multiplies together to give you negative 36. You know, a minus 6 times itself, negative 6 squared, is a minus 6 times a minus 6, which is a positive 36. And 6 squared is 6 times 6, which is also positive 36. There are no real numbers. We will learn about complex numbers. There is an answer to this, but there are no real numbers that multiply by themselves to give a minus 36. So notice the subtlety here. The minus sign on the outside is a minus 1 times a thing. The minus on the inside, that's now part of this argument. What number times itself is the thing that they're showing you down here? What number times itself is minus 36? No real number times itself is minus 36. Now on the fourth one, this negative is still a minus 1 times the square root of negative 36, but just like the one that we did before, that's the problem. So if you have negatives inside the square root symbol, there's no real numbers that make that a true statement, or sorry, that make that we can answer that for. So let's go ahead and look at what the drop-down menu looks like on the computer. So we're asked to match these. So minus 1 times the square root of 36 is minus 1 times 6, which is minus 6, which is C. Minus 6 is C. Square root of 36 is positive 6, which is A. So drop down A. I have a minus on the inside of a square root, no real solutions, or no real numbers. Same thing here. That minus on the inside, B. There we have it. Okay, now let's take a look at question 3. Question 3 now, notice there's a little tiny number up there that's a 3. That's a cube root. Okay, so let's investigate a similar problem to this. I don't want to do this exact one because it's not going to randomize the numbers, but let's do something similar. Okay, so I want to actually do 4 problems just to underscore the difference between a cube root versus a square root. Square root is the most typical kind of root, so we don't actually usually write a little 2 out in front here, but it is secretly there. But for other roots, we need to write them. So this is asking me a question. Oops, there we go. That part is saying what number cubed, or what number times itself 3 times is the number that they're showing you right here, 125. Okay, and 5 times itself 3 times is 125, so 5 is our answer. 5 times 5 is 25, times another 5 is 125. You could even write 125 as 5 cubed. The cube root of 5 cubed is just 5. Now in this next one, we still have this question, what number times itself 3 times? But now underneath here is a minus. What number times itself 3 times is negative 25? And there is in fact an answer to that. It's minus 5. Right? Minus 5 times itself 3 times. A negative times a negative is a positive, so that's positive 25 times a minus 5 is minus 125. So my answer here is minus 5. I want to juxtapose this against this problem up here, where a minus inside the root was a problem when we were taking a square root. But it is not a problem here. Having that negative inside was not a problem. Your teacher, as you guys know, is OCD, and for those of you that are spatial learners, I just wanted this to all match. Here there was no negatives, here there was a negative on the outside, a negative on the inside, and then one in and one out. The work that we just did, I just moved it down here just so it matched. So I haven't done anything. All right, so a negative inside an odd root is perfectly allowed because a negative number times itself an odd number of times will be negative. But here, if you have an even root, 2, 4, 6, 8, here this one is a 2, if I have a negative on the inside of the root, I have a problem. There's no real numbers that satisfy that. Okay, let's do these next 2. This minus on the outside is a minus 1 times this number. It's a minus 1 times the cube root of 125 is 5. Answer, negative 5. Here, this negative on the outside is also a minus 1 times the cube root of minus 125. And we just found out that the cube root of minus 125 is minus 5. A negative times a negative is a positive. Answer, positive 5. Okay. So we're not going to put in the answer here for question 3, but we're going to make sure that we can read it. This is what number times itself 3 times is negative 343.